The Chicopee City Council met earlier this evening, and one of their topics discussed getting rid of plastic checkout bags. That would include all plastic carryout bags provided by a store to a customer at the point of sale. If the bill passes, no retail store within the city, including restaurants, convenience stores, or supermarkets, could provide plastic bags to customers.
I get phone calls, pictures, emails about trash in people's yards. It's gross, and it's not a good look for the city. In other surrounding towns, communities, states, cities, they've all implemented similar bans, and this is not something that is always a first resort, but as time has gone by, the problem it's persisted, and it has not gotten better.
If the bill does pass, it won't take effect until late October.